Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing my first pregnancy video. Yay, I'm so excited. So I just announced on my channel that I am expecting. Obviously, if you haven't seen that announcement, surprise. If this is your first time coming to this channel because you were searching pregnancy YouTube videos, not beauty, my name's Natalie. I do beauty videos for the most part, and recently announced that I am expecting. I'm actually 23 weeks right now, and I taped this video before but I didn't like it, so I'm redoing it. I am doing 20 things you find out your first 20 weeks. Obviously I'm 23 weeks, but I'm trying to keep it all backdated, kind of things that I personally experienced and I found out while being pregnant that I didn't necessarily know were gonna be things. You kind of know the basic stuff like morning sickness, this blah blah blah, prenatals, all these things that you kind of think you know, but in reality you actually don't know a lot about pregnancy until you actually become pregnant. So let's just jump right in. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that you might not know. The caveat is I don't have regular periods, so I don't have a way of tracking. I'm not one of those people that's like, my period is 47 minutes late. Oh my God, I might be pregnant. We had taken a test about 10 days before we found out, and it was negative. Now, one thing about that too, I want to add, I never realized until I actually was pregnant that you can have a faint line on your pregnancy test. That means you're pregnant. It just picks up the HCG levels in your urine. So I always thought you had to be full-blown double lines. No. That's not the truth. So if you're kind of concerned with how can you tell, I would definitely say buy digital. I bought the really crappy ones, but I found out at the doctors. So I never actually took a pregnancy test until after I was pregnant. That was a positive pregnancy test. The weekend before we found out, we were actually at the beach with Brandon's brother and his wife, who was 23 or 25 weeks pregnant, something around there. The whole time I was I have to pee every 3 minutes. Now luckily you're on a beach and all you have to do is walk to the water, but it was still so annoying that I was constantly feeling like I had to pee, and I felt really bloated, and I couldn't figure out why. And after dinner I just looked so bloated. What the hell? Why do I feel like this? I thought maybe I just had eaten something that hadn't agreed with me, and I was just really bloated, and that was pushing on my bladder, and that's why I had to pee. I just kind of felt off. And then a couple of days before we found out, we were in bed and Brandon had the TV on, and most of the time we'll kind of just lay and watch TV, and I rarely ever fall asleep when the TV's on. This time I was kind of leaning on him, I wasn't cute cuddled very gracefully cuddled up against him. I was just kind of flopped on him, and I fell asleep in, he said, a minute, and I went from being wide awake to just drooled on him, just passed out. And I never pass out. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I'm so bloated, and I had just taken a test, so I was I'm not pregnant. I don't know, I just thought it was something weird in my diet or something going on. So the point of that is you don't always know you're pregnant. So number two, when you find out, you don't necessarily feel different, but you know you are. From the point when you find out, that second of time frame, you become a different person. You don't feel different than you did 5 minutes ago, but you know you're a completely different person than you were 5 minutes ago. You act different. You're just kind of what do I do with it? It's so weird, and oh my gosh, it's a human, and I'm growing it, and holy shit. And it's just this very strange sensation, but you can't say I feel different, because you don't. You felt the same way 5 minutes ago, but you do feel a completely different person. Your body feels different. You think you feel pregnant all of a sudden, but everything kind of does connect. You're oh, that makes sense. That's probably why. If you are like we were, we found out the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, and we had plans the entire weekend with friends and family, and we drank. I mean, if you've been on my channel before, I've been known to have a whole glass of wine with me while I'm doing my makeup on this channel. My friends expect that of me. So you'll get really good at telling lies as to why you're not drinking, because everyone's gonna be why aren't you drinking? My suggestions are either, so tell me you're on antibiotics for something kind of gross but not deadly. Cleanses are always good. I'm gonna cleanse and I can't drink. That I used too, because I used the antibiotics in the beginning and then the cleanse after, and so I had to use it for a while because we hadn't told anyone for, I think it was probably 2 months while we didn't tell anyone. Obviously it's easier to just not be social, but we had things that we had already planned and I couldn't really cancel. Also, another thing is to grab your waitress beforehand and tell them that you want to order vodka soda, but really you just need soda because you're pregnant, not to say anything. That's a really good one too. It's definitely tricky because people, the second you say you aren't drinking, someone's gonna be oh, you're pregnant, and you have to kind of figure out how you're gonna play that game because the fat stage is real and it's long. When you first find out you're pregnant, like all that bloating, you're like, oh, look at my baby bump. That's all bloating. I hate to break it, like I thought it was a baby bump and all my friends think that it's baby bumps, but it's bloating. You're just so bloated from the hormones that you have like a pooch where your normally maybe flat stomach used to be. You know how people joke, oh, look at my food baby. That's really the look you have. I like think about how many women I've seen like at the beach and at the pool who I'm like, ooh, you know, you like see them and you think that they're too many cheeseburgers, and reality they might be pregnant. Like there had to be thousands of women that I've come across. I feel like I had the fat stage till I was probably 18 weeks, maybe 16. I mean, I definitely was at like the fat stage for a very, very long time. And you kind of know you're at the fat stage because you wake up in the morning and your stomach's relatively flat, and then as the day progresses, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the end of the day, you like have a full blown like looking baby bump. And then once you get over the fat stage, when it's really actually your uterus that's expanding, you wake up looking like you're pregnant and you go to sleep looking a little bit bigger, but not like that huge dramatic difference you do probably in the first like 18 weeks. Obviously, if it's your second child, your uterus will expand a lot faster. Ultrasounds are crazy, and it's almost like you can't even imagine they're real. When you see your baby for the first time, obviously it's like a blob. It doesn't look like a baby. It just looks like a gummy bear maybe-ish, depending on how developed, depending on when you get your ultrasounds. And it's like, you know it's real because like it's on your, she's on your stomach, or obviously if it's really, really early, it's vaginal. I think they stopped doing vaginal at 10 weeks on me. Like it's up there, but you don't know what's real. And when we did our 10-week, like our dating scan, the baby was pretty big and pretty developed. I can actually put an ultrasound picture right here so you can kind of see what it looked like at 10 weeks and 3 days. It was jumping around like a jelly bean. I was like, what is going on in there? I didn't think they moved that young. They have a lot of involuntary twitching apparently, and it was just so weird. And it's like, you know it's in your side of your body, but it is so detached from you in the fact that it's an ultrasound on a screen, and you just can't imagine that that's actually inside of you. That was not something I was expecting. I was just kind of expecting to be like, oh, I'm gonna be so emotional, it's gonna be so great. You were just kind of like, this is so weird, I don't even know what to do. Do I like cry? Do I smile? Like, yay, it's my blob. So cute. It has daddy's eyes. You get to know the people at your local LabCorp really, really well. I didn't realize this. When you find out you're pregnant, you give a lot of blood, like a lot of blood. Found out they were like, go to LabCorp that day. Then they made me go give more blood 3 days later. If you want to find out the sex early, you can do kind of like the early screening for genetic diseases, and then you can find out the sex then. That's usually like 10 weeks. We didn't do that because we're not finding out the sex. You also do blood for your screening that coincides with your 14-week ultrasound that they use to like measure the spinal something or another. I don't know. Yeah, Google that part. You have to do blood with it the same day. You have to do a glucose test. You have to do all these different things. You're just constantly giving blood. Like the ladies at LabCorp actually know who I am now when I walk in. I'm like, hi, I'm here to give blood. Obviously, morning sickness is a big thing for a lot of women. I was lucky enough, I didn't have morning sickness. Is food aversion, cravings, and your blood sugar. I stopped eating meat 2 weeks before I got pregnant. I haven't really eaten meat since April. So I'm normally like a huge vegetable person. Like I pretty much live off vegetables, right? When I got to week 8, all of a sudden food is disgusting to you. For me, food got worse throughout the day. So like in the morning, I could usually eat fairly easily. But at the same time, I eat kind of like a normal bland breakfast, like a bagel or a oatmeal cereal, something like that. That was kind of what I was eating at the time. That was easy, I could get that down. But as the day progressed, food just became more and more disgusting to me. Like broccolini is one of my favorite things, and I haven't been able to really eat it during my pregnancy. Even now, I'm still kind of like, ugh. I don't know why. It's just whatever's going on with the hormones in your body that create this food aversion where like nothing sounds good, and at the same time, like you're gonna crave something. So my big thing around like week 8 and 10 was fried beans. So like all I wanted to do was go to Tijuana Flats and get a refried bean tostada, like right now with queso. I craved like cheap cheese queso and refried beans, but that's like what I wanted, and I had to eat it because there was nothing else I could even imagine stomaching at that time. But you have to eat, because let me tell you, if you don't eat, your blood sugar takes a nosedive. And I'm talking instantaneously, super quick. Before you know it, you're feeling like you're gonna throw up, pass out. When we were on our vacation in the Keys this year, we were at a grocery store. So we bought like a ton of stuff at Publix. And I just went from like normal to 5 minutes later, like sitting on the cart like this, like, I'm gonna be sick, I'm gonna be sick. You know, the food aversion at that point really is high. So you're kind of like, I can't even imagine eating like a granola bar or something like this. You're like, ugh. You kind of have to find out what works for you. And for me, I literally just like saw this. This is a Go-Go Squeeze apple sauce on the go. It's just like applesauce in a little squeezy. It's for kids. I like just crawled over to where it was and I just opened it up in the middle of the store, popped this thing open. I literally sat on the front of the cart. Like, so I was pretty much on the floor in the grocery store, like just going like this and just pounding this entire thing. And I will say within 5 minutes, I was completely normal. It's just your blood sugar gets really, really out of whack. You can't regulate it as well when you're pregnant. You just have to make sure you eat. And people can be kind of insensitive to that when you're traveling, especially. They don't need to eat because they don't really eat breakfast or they don't really need lunch at 1 o'clock. You know, they kind of just eat whenever and you're like, I need to eat. So I would definitely recommend having something like this, almonds, whatever you can imagine eating in that moment. Your body needs something. I mean, the first trimester is the most laborious on your body because you're building your placenta. You have to really take that into consideration. People think that the third is always the hardest, and it is hard because you're so big and uncomfortable. But your body is working really, really, really hard your first trimester. So you want to make sure that you're fueling it. And because you're not feeling great usually, you're probably not feeling it as well as you should be. So make sure you have something on hand to kind of get you over that blood sugar hump, get you over that food aversion hump. You know, try to eat as healthy as you can, but also try to eat. Like, I don't like to eat cheap cheese queso, but I was like, I just need queso right now. You don't understand, just give it to me. And I ate it and I didn't feel bad about it. It's whatever. Pregnancy apps, that is definitely something I suggest. If you just found out you're pregnant and you haven't downloaded all the apps, I definitely suggest downloading. The ones that I look at, like, I look at different ones for different things. I use the traditional like what to expect when expecting app. That's a really good kind of telling you what your week's gonna be like. Every time you go into a new week, there's a video and a couple kind of articles about what's gonna happen to you and your baby this week and what are like the major milestones. For the most part, they're pretty accurate. It's good to kind of understand what's coming, or sometimes you'll be kind of like a week ahead in certain symptoms. So it's kind of nice to like know why you felt like that last week. You're like, oh, that's probably why I felt like that. I use another app called Nurture. I like that for tracking exactly where I am within my pregnancy, because community on this app is my favorite. I go on the community page, I kind of go to the due date. So I'm a January 2017 babies. Communities, I will say this, can be kind of depressing because there's a lot of miscarriages and it freaks you out. I was lucky enough to not experience that. If you go on the app, on the community, just be prepared if in the first couple months, probably before you get to like 13 or 14 weeks, you're gonna see a lot of miscarriage posts, but you're also gonna see a good information post. You can obviously look up a lot of stuff. It's kind of nice to talk to someone who's going like through the same thing you are, because you might not have friends who are going through your pregnancy the same time you are. You can do it obviously on what to expect, but I like the community post on Nurture the best. So for editing and adding like these cute little things, I use Baby Story. I did like pay $5 just to like unlock all the drawings and doodles. I'll put the little icons for that guy here. Or the next thing will not apply for everyone, but this applies for me in my situation. And I did want to bring it up because I was a little bit surprised that it came up so often. Number 9 I put is people are going to ask you if you're getting married. Brandon and I, no, we are not married. We have been together for almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in December. We have a happy, healthy, normal relationship. We own a home. We're very stable. We had a conversation late last year, before I took my IUD out, just saying, if we get engaged, I don't want to be pregnant, Brandon. He doesn't want me to be pregnant. So we didn't want to do it like we get engaged, get pregnant in the middle of planning a wedding, because we weren't engaged between the engagement and actually planning a wedding, getting married, and then obviously subsequently getting pregnant afterwards. Do we want to start trying to get pregnant and kind of see where life takes us? And that's really the approach we took. I had my IUD taken out in November. I didn't get my first period until February, and we kind of just went from there. And obviously I got found out I was pregnant at the end of May. We know 100% we're gonna get married, but it's just like so many people ask you, and it's just kind of surprising. It's just kind of like, oh, okay. People ask other people too, so you get that a lot at parties and events and things that people are around, and people text other people, oh, are they gonna get married? Are they gonna get married? They ask each other that a lot, and that was weird. Like, just ask me, I'll tell you the truth. I'm like the most honest, transparent person. It was really a decision for us, like baby or like marriage, and for us, baby was the most important thing in our life, in our relationship, and it's the thing that we both wanted the most. So we chose baby, and yes, we will get married. We'll get married after the baby. Tradition is great, and I really respect people who have done it like the very traditional way. Brandon and I have kind of said about our whole relationship is like, our relationship isn't conventional in that way. We don't do things like this, and that's okay, and we've just gotten used to that. Be prepared, if you're not married, for everyone to ask you, and for everyone to ask all your friends and family. So the next thing I want to talk about, if you are someone who doesn't like, how should I say this, real talk, you're a family member, you don't want to hear something like this, I suggest you you skip off this part. For number 10, I'm going to talk about hormones. This is something that we all are going to have different reactions to, the huge influx of hormones. Progesterone and estrogen are the two main hormones in your pregnancy. You do change. Sorry. So mood swings are obviously huge, common issue. My mood swings were very much like, I would go from like crying like at anything, like a ASPCA commercial, or Brandon told me something I wasn't too excited to hear, or there wasn't any food, or I was out of something at the time, and I don't know, something stupid would happen, and I would just bawl, like, and just feel like really depressed. I mean, they just kind of kick your ass. And then literally 2 minutes later, you would be like this intense, crazy hornball, and you don't know why. You would just be like, you know, Brandon would just be standing there, and I'd be like, let's go. Not in like a romantic way, like in a, if I don't do this right now, if we don't have sex, I'm going to have a heart attack and die. Like, you just get these like huge influxes of hormones that just pump through you, and it's really intense. At least it was for me, and it's kind of calmed down. It hasn't happened as much. Another thing that hormones do to you, which I did not realize, the estrogen and progesterone cause your ligaments and your joints to soften and stretch. Obviously that's to stretch out for like growing purposes, but like you'll find out you're so sore from doing anything because your muscles are having to work a lot harder every time you do something, like walk upstairs or do that. So you just have this like soreness the whole time. You're just like, why am I so sore? And it's like that weird deep aching feeling, and you don't know why. Well, that's why, because it's hormones are softening, literally softening you up on the inside. Number 11, another thing, if you don't want to know, turn it off. We're going to talk about are your boobs. We got to talk about these. If you're like me, who naturally has small boobs, then had breast augmentation, I don't know if it's because of that, this dramatic change, but your boobs will grow just a shit ton. Like, they will grow. I'm talking not in like a good fun, like in a fun way, because they look enormous. They're so painful. There's no having fun with them. Like, you can't touch them. You can't even get near your nipples areas because your nipples have to grow to kind of accommodate for breastfeeding, right? So that whole area, your nipples, your areola, all that's growing dramatically. At least in my case, they grew really, really fast. And I was just like lightning pain in my nipple. I remember I'd be walking around like this, like just like this. Just don't talk to me. Don't ask me why. This nipple is just killing me. Or it'd be this one. One of my nipples had to hurt all the time. Brandon would be like, oh, they were so big and pretty, blah, blah, blah. Try to touch them, I'd be like, holy shit, don't touch them. Oh my God, are you crazy? Like, look, don't touch. And they get veiny. I don't even know what's going on inside of there, in all honesty. They're going from play toys. Stop saying silky milkies, babe. They're going from like fun, cute play toys to functional. They're doing what they're supposed to do, but it is weird. And if you were like me, who had fairly small areola and nipple beforehand, you're gonna be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Bye-bye, you will never see that again. So you might as well just like look down, if you're not pregnant right now, or you're very, very newly pregnant, look down and be like, maybe take a picture of them so you can like look back at one day and be like, look how little my nipples were back then. Because it's gonna all change. Your boobs are just totally gonna change. As you get closer to 20 weeks, the soreness will go away and you can actually enjoy them a little bit. before they start leaking. The next thing that I found really weird is your stomach changes from day to day. This definitely happens, but your stomach changes so fast. And I thought, for some reason, I just thought you would like wake up one morning and have a baby bump and like be cute and like whatever, you know, my stomach is always my palm area. So like whatever fat you had on your stomach like gets stretched away and like you look adorable. I don't know what I thought. Let me just warn you with that. Some people who have like teeny tiny little stomachs do get that kind of like perfect progressive like growth. Mine isn't like shaped super normal. I still have like fat up here by my rib cage. At one point when as my uterus was moving up, every time I would sit, I would have like a roll like right underneath my rib cage of just fat. And I couldn't make it go away because it was just the way like my stomach was all sitting. And it's weird and it changes and it grows. Like one day you wake up and you're like, holy shit, look at the size of this thing. And it like popped out of nowhere. It just changes so much all the time. You think that it's like this hard thing that doesn't move and change, but it does. And it's like, that just wasn't something I was thinking of. I just thought it was like a baby bump and it was just like hard and it was baby, but it's soft and squishy and moves and changes and it's just a weird, it's a weird thing. Maybe as you get further along in your pregnancy, it kind of stops being able to move and be as like malleable and it becomes just like a big hard bump. But in the first 20 weeks, it's weird and it changes a lot. Another thing I found out, which is great for me and shitty for other people, is your skin might clear up. Now I say your skin might clear up. If you've followed my channel for a while, you know I've had a ton of skin issues and most of it has stemmed from my body just having more testosterone than normal, and it kind of causes breaking out through here and then up through here. So that's kind of always my thing. I had a lot of texture and a lot of breakouts caused from just higher levels of testosterone. Because of the huge influx of estrogen and progesterone, my skin has gone from like horrible to amazing like overnight. If you were high in testosterone, now all of a sudden you're getting like a ton of estrogen and progesterone in your body. Your skin goes back to balanced. In my case, my skin is very balanced. The texture is very balanced. And I get that kind of glow. So I think that's where the whole pregnancy glow came from, because I have lots of friends who aren't like that, but they're also much more hormonally balanced than I am on a regular basis. Oh, hi, big boy. So they'll suffer through the 9 months of like being hormonally imbalanced, but for me, the rest of my life, I'm gonna be like hormonally imbalanced. So with all this growing that you're doing, guess what, guys? Your clothes don't fit. The first thing to go out the door is your jeans. Whatever jeans you're wearing, say bye-bye. You're not gonna be wearing them anymore, particularly with the way jeans are styled right now too, because they are kind of higher waisted. Usually it's gonna button like right where you're at your biggest. And I pretty much lost the ability to wear jeans like almost right away when I found out I was pregnant. You don't wanna stretch out all your nice clothes. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to buy maternity clothes. In case, because my hips did stretch out, I can't get into things that I would normally wear, even if I wore like a belly band or something. I've been going to a Pee in the Pod, a maternity store, Target. Those are kind of the places I've been looking for maternity clothes. And I've really been trying to do this like not on sale, but trying to find bargains. So like I use my Ebates. If you guys don't know about Ebates, I'm gonna talk about it one more time on my channel because it is the most amazing thing in the world. It's not a fraud. It's definitely not a phony. All it is a portal that you go onto. I'm gonna put my link and my code down. Obviously, if you're gonna use it, please use my link because I do get cash back for that. And you get cash back for shopping at certain stores. Sometimes it's 1% and sometimes it's 12%. Every quarter, they put it in your PayPal account. Cash, like just money. In your PayPal account, no fuss, no muss. So I've been trying to like go online and see what stores are having decent amount of cash back. Oh, Gap's having a good cash back. Oh, Nordstrom's is having good cash back. Target's having really good cash back. Amazon even does cash back sometimes. And trying to shop like that so I'm at least getting something. So trying to buy things, because this is my first pregnancy. I do plan on being pregnant again. Things that are classic that I can actually wear more than one pregnancy. So as you kind of progress through your pregnancy, and some of the symptoms that start to come up in your second trimester, so after 14 weeks, is heartburn. I'm talking a lot of heartburn and indigestion. I have been living off Tum. The ones I like are the Tum smoothies. And then I buy them like the assorted fruit. There's a lot of medication you cannot take. Tums are healthy during pregnancy. I used to drink Pepto-Bismol. You can't have Pepto-Bismol. You can't have Alka-Seltzer, so you can't like have all these things. So you have to find like some kind of solution to your heartburn. And I definitely found that Tums works the best for me. These actually taste pretty good. They're not as chalky as like the normal ones. I would suggest not eating and then laying straight down. The way your body's designed, if you sleep on your right side, that acid will actually start to flow like this. So if you sleep on your left side, it'll kind of stay down into your stomach more, I guess. I don't know. I'm showing diagrams of it. Tums are your new BFF. All of this crazy stuff said, eventually you're gonna start showing. Eventually your bump gets to be a bump and it gets cute and you feel like you can take good pictures. Just know it gets there. You move out of the fat stage and look pregnant. That obviously happens differently for every person. Some people never really look super pregnant. Your bump obviously will grow at its own pace. But with that said, number 17, I have strangers don't acknowledge it. This was something weird to me, right? I kind of figured when I looked pregnant, like right now I look pregnant, people would stop asking me if I wanted a drink, or people would just notice that I'm pregnant. I wouldn't have to like say it to people. I think people are so afraid to like say someone's pregnant when they're not. You see all those like horror stories in movies and shit, and I think that they'll just like not acknowledge your bump. Like it's so weird. You think that people are gonna be like acknowledging the fact that you're pregnant, and they don't. One thing that is really fun in your first 20 weeks is the potential of starting to feel movement. Movement happens at different times, kind of depending on the location of your placenta. Your placenta can kind of be like in the front of your stomach, and that will soften the baby's kicks in movement, and you won't feel it until later on in pregnancy. Obviously, if your placenta is like in the back of your uterus or, you know, someplace else, you'll feel the kicks a little bit sooner, but you'll have this like couple weeks of this weird stage of, is that a kick? Is that gas? What is that? Like you don't know what it is. This uncertainty, like I have movement, right? Like I felt a kick, right? And then like one day out of the blue, you'll get like that first big kick where it's like a movement and you know it's a kick. Like that is a kick. And that'll happen like really sporadically for like a week or two. You'll get like these really big kicks, and then you'll feel like butterflies, like fluttering, like a little butterfly inside your stomach. And then you'll progress over that, and then you'll really start to feel like kicks and movement and stuff. So number 19 I have is nesting. I started nesting actually pretty early, considering, and by nesting I mean like it's not just the baby room that you nest, it's like your whole house. So the shit that you procrastinated doing, like for us it was hanging pictures. Like neither of us wanted to. I didn't really know how to do it. Brandon didn't really know how to do it, and we just really never hung a lot of our artwork in our house. I just kind of put my head down and like YouTubed a couple things, and I just started hanging pictures everywhere. I realized that I was like reorganizing, and I like reorganized my pantry, like really intensely reorganized the pantry. What is this? And it's nesting. You are nesting, even though it's not baby room stuff. It's still like that whole nesting feeling that you get, that you kind of want to get like your life in order before you bring a child into the world. Start nesting a little sooner than I guess I thought I would. And then obviously we'll start working on the nursery here pretty soon. And last but not least, number 20 is you're only halfway there. You find out that a pregnancy is 40 weeks. And you find out that the first 2 weeks of your pregnancy, you're not even pregnant. You haven't even ovulated yet. Then you go into your period, after your period, your ovulation, and then you go into like the whole process of like the eggs actually going and embedding and, you know, becoming pregnant. So by the time you find out you're pregnant, you're already 4 or 5 weeks pregnant. So you're already 4 or 5 weeks through the 40-week process, right? You're only at 20 weeks and you're like, I'm halfway there, but you're not really halfway there because you didn't live the first 5 weeks pregnant. So now you're like, I'm halfway there, but I got a lot of stuff to do in my second half. Second trimester really is your golden trimester. You really do get the energy back a little bit. I actually been able to start working out a lot more than I was my first trimester. I was just like, no. I would say the second trimester, you start to get like that. When you get to 20 weeks, you usually feel pretty good by the time you're at 20 weeks. You're not huge, you're not really uncomfortable, but a lot of your like crazy hormones have started to kind of go away. But you are only halfway there, and that's the crazy part. Unless you go early, you got a 20 weeks of full on being pregnant. Definitely a milestone, but there's just so much left. That said, I do appreciate you sticking in for the first video. Hopefully this was informative if you are newly pregnant, kind of just what to expect your first 20 weeks. This is my personal experience and journey through it. And these are the things that I wasn't expecting, that I discovered my first 20 weeks. I'm looking forward to do many more pregnancy videos. Let me know if there's any requests for stuff you guys want me to talk about. If you want me to keep doing updates. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe and like my video if you did enjoy it. And I will talk to you guys soon. All right, guys. Bye.